What city is overrated? Ha. You'll never see Philly in this list. Because no one likes us. Quick Philly story. My best friend is from Philly. I'm from outside of Boston. We both met in Florida when we were teens and bonded over being the only two people who were hockey fans in the mid-80s. In 2010 we had a bet for the Flyers-Bruins series. Loser would have to pay for a trip to the winner's city to watch a game in their barn. Obviously the Bruins choked away that 3-0 lead and lost the series. So I had to pony up for the trip. My boy tells me he'd rather go to Boston and catch a game there and see the city. I said okay, but the bet was going to the winner's city and I've never been to Philly. He says you don't want to go to Philly. It sucks. Even I don't want to go there. So we went to Boston and had a great time. I love that your Philly story is about not going to Philly. Now I need to read the opposite of this thread. There will be some overlap. Myrtle Beach. SC. Myrtle Beach. SC the beach that SC natives avoid. Edit I'd share the good ones SC natives go to, but if I did, it would only attract more Ohio. The beach Ohio flocks to from Ohio. This is go to for any person I've ever met who wanted to go to a beach for any reason. Jackson, Mississippi. Everyone thinks it's bad, but it's really bad. I used to work an ambulance in Jackson. That city is not circling the drain. The water has drained, and Jackson is stuck to the tub. It is a never-ending cycle of poverty, corrupt city officials, fleeing businesses, and crime. Every city administration does nothing but pass blame. Some of the most atrocious things I have seen happened in Jackson manuscript, not 20 miles from my home. And I was in Afghanistan. Every shift was a shooting, an assault, an overdose, a fire standby, homeless and mental health calls. Many of the citizens live in absolute squalor. No businesses near them. No grocery stores. No opportunity. They can't afford cars and the public transit is practically non-existent. You truly do not understand what poverty is until you see it. I don't know Jackson, but I know North Philly, and it's also pretty ducked up. My intern was from Kashmir and he witnessed a murder in his second week. He regularly said, I'm from a literal war zone, and North Philly is way worse. Can confirm. I worked in home rehab repairs in nice town poorly named and hunting park aptly named. Driving through doesn't do it justice. You have to see the houses on the inside. Who else just went control F my city? Myrtle Beach. Don't go there. I got robbed in Rio. You and everyone else. I got robbed there too. It was the calmest robbing of all time. I was having coffee with my old man and this dude walks up to us and places a paper bag into the table in front of us. Tells us there's a gun in the bag and to give him all the money we had. We did. He left. I was visiting my girlfriend's parents, went out for food. Someone came up to me with a gun. I gave them all the money I had and the food I got packed. Tried to remain calm and cried after coming home because it was my first time being robbed. It was my first time being robbed. You say it like being robbed is a totally normal thing, like losing your virginity or something. Sadly it is in South America. You have to get used to be robbed once in a while. It's terrible but we live like that. There's even a curious syndrome where, if you're from over here and go to a secure country like Switzerland, you still remain alert and in panic of someone robbing you. Until you remember you're not in your old country. Harpaxophobia link. The description seems exaggerated there, but your anxiety really triggers up. And we have a joke here in Buenos Aires. When someone foreign comes and they get pickpocketed, we tell them now you're welcome. Edit my most voted comment now. Thanks. San Jose. People come here thinking it's the Silicon Valley, expecting to see all kinds of cool advanced stuff, but it's just an urban sprawl. I know someone who came here from Shanghai and wanted to travel to San Francisco. She asked me why we don't have high-speed bullet trains that will take us to the city in like 15 minutes. I didn't know what to say. The whole of the South Bay is once giant office park. Palo Alto is kind of a letdown too when you're expecting the mecca of tech, but it's just a bunch of super wealthy single family homes and an overpriced downtown area. Baltimore is so overrated. I was expecting to be murdered, but all I did was go to the aquarium. Got left on the stoop of some not so great neighborhood in Baltimore when I was 16. Friend's mom claimed to be taking us out for the evening before leaving for Ocean City in the morning. Instead she took our money and abandoned us at night in less than fabulous Baltimore. Met a nice old man who told me I better sit my white ass down before I attract the attention of the police. And I met a baby named Pikachu. I think about you all the time, little kid named Pikachu. I'm a Baltimore native. I need to know more. Please. Go on. Well, basically my friend and I were going on a little road trip for summer vacation. I was 16, she was 17. We are both female. Her aunt and mom had arranged for the aunt to take us to Ocean City as a grad gift for my friend. I was just a tag along. We make it into Bowie MD in the middle of the night and right away I realize something's off with the aunt. Next day comes and she wants to take us out in Baltimore for the night and have some fun. We are dumb teenagers from the DC metro area suburbs. We did not know. LOL. Yeah. We had no idea what we were getting into. So, we hop into the truck with the aunt and think we are heading to some fun when she takes us to these row houses. Like every other house was abandoned or should have been. Aunt says she needs to run somewhere right quick and for us to chill here with her friends. She leaves us standing on the stoop of some house in Baltimore at about 8 PM on a Saturday night. Dressed for a club. Mind you, are still too naive to know what's going on. We are standing there talking to this man who must have been 100 if he was a day old and this baby in a stroller. I said, what's the baby's name? Deadass, this child's name was Pikachu. This happened in 1999. I'm old. I guess our whiteness and clearly not supposed to be there-ness was very obvious, so we were told to sit down so we didn't attract attention. 3 hours later her aunt returns with no money, hires balls on heroin and ready to take us back to her apartment so she can vomit for a few hours for fun. Once we are back at the apartment I phone my mom. 1999, we didn't have texting. I tell her we were bamboozled. This lady took our money for the beach and bought heroin with it and then just left us until she remembered we needed to be picked up. Mom flipped and called friend's mom who flipped, cause sister is back on the needle. My friend won't accept what is happening and that there was never a beach trip. So, I packed the Gia tracker and forced her to leave. I have no idea how we got back from MD. I just drove. I just know I will never forget that baby named Pikachu and I wonder what he's up to. So if you happen to be about 20 something from Baltimore and your given name is Pikachu, chances are I met you. The end. I packed the Gia tracker. I really enjoyed that 90s detail. Hollywood. I live in LA, and every time someone comes out to visit, they want to go to Hollywood to see the touristy stuff. I don't mind indulging them, but are a huge fan of movies and old Hollywood, etc. The real thing is insanely disappointing. It's filthy, crowded, smelly, and chock full of shysters and violent homeless people. I totally get going for the sake of going if you're visiting the area. But there are two things you should never do: wander off the main streets or hang around late at night. There are a lot of crazies down there who get stabby when the sun goes down. Hollywood has so few lanes too. I used to go to the LA Fitness there. I had something and the whole lanes got closed. I was not able to get my workout in. This was more than 10 years ago. I hate I now. Oh, and everyone who went to that gym knows this. But there's a gigantic L. Ron Hubbard banner right outside the window there. So when you're doing DB squats, you'll see Scientology marketing, LOL. Oh, and LA in general is disappointing. It's a great city in the sense of the variety of things to do, the diverse communities, and restaurants. But the infrastructure's trash. I specifically remember some Korean tourists in Hollywood, and them commenting that the whole of LA looks like Seoul from the 80s. This was in the 2010s. I love that comparison. LA Seoul in the 80s. Wonderful description of how underdeveloped and basic routine aspects of the city are. In 15 years it's going to be Seoul in 1985. Niagara Falls is ridiculously corny. Niagara on the lake, on the other hand, was fantastic. Baby, it's wine country. Miami. Literally the entire city is for sale, and I feel like I'm living in a game of Monopoly. Dubai. Whenever I see photos of it, It looks like a city of never-ending construction. And a lot of slavery. Memphis. Everything is fine during the day. But it's like a whole new city at night. Only time I ever truly felt in danger in a new city. I live in Memphis. And I don't even notice the gunshots in my neighborhood anymore. That's sad. Gunshot ASMR shouldn't be taken for granted like that. Dubai is a frivolous place. Has no soul. Dubai. Concrete city. Terrible roads. Over 80% population are expats, migrants. Even if you stay your entire life there, you will never get citizenship or you have any rights whatsoever. Only good thing: food, cars, and a bunch of people from all over the world at one single place trying to make a quick buck. Edit: by terrible roads the city came up too fast. There is not clear systematic urban planning. You have mix of business districts, commercial and mixed-use developments, residential blocks, etc. The roads are well constructed and maintained. Just to clarify, I spent 4 years in Dubai. From 98 to 02. I watched the last piece placed on top of the Burj Al Arab. Used to live opposite the Black Palace, and it was a wasteland between there and our complex. Used to walk across it almost every day to get to Dubai College for school. 2-lane main road behind us. Almost nothing between our place and the Hard Rock Cafe Tower, which I've just now learned was demolished some 9 years ago. What the duck. Now it's 6 or 7 lanes and Internet City has engulfed the whole area. It was kinda great back then. Won't lie. Went back in 2017 for a few days pit stop with my dad on my way for an Christmas holiday. And we hated it. It felt like expensive yet looked so cheap somehow. Like it was Vegas or something. Just not the city I remembered at all. Grown way too big, way too fast. Answers maybe where the commenters live, lol. Hangzhou, China. From a seat in a tour bus and walking tours led by local guides, I cringe at the title of most beautiful city in China. The title is often presented in the aura of greatness known at CCTV. Xiamen, China would be my pick for highly rated city. My analysis is from living in China as a foreigner for 10 years. Atlantic City, a poor city with a poor population and all of its wealth coming from casinos. And casinos are depressing. I'm gonna go with modern day Nashville. TN. When I was in college, it was still a fun place to visit because the boom hadn't happened yet. I even considered moving there after grad school because cost of living was so similar to where I was at the time. Now it's totally unaffordable, overrun by tourist traps and influencers, and the charm is totally gone. It went from being a chill place with character to an overcrowded commercial trap. There's literally a thing called Paris syndrome or something where going to Paris is so disappointing that it makes Japanese tourists have psychotic breakdowns. Solitude. Capital of the province, but once you get past the showy location you're gonna have a lot more fun and good honest driftin'. Gary, Indiana. No matter how poorly you rate it, it's still overrating it. Phoenix. This city should not exist. It is a monument to man's arrogance. Bobby Peggy Hill. Edit: it was Peggy's revelation. Circuit City. What a ghost town. Edit: thank you all for the positive responses and generous awards. Pisa. There's a building that's slightly wonky in an enclosed tourist trap. And then the rest of the city is an absolute shithole. I'm Italian. I was planning a trip from the south to the north of Italy to take my car from my hometown to the city where I work. I was asking for advice about the cities to stop in, for example Naples, Rome, Bologna. Beautiful cities with many things to do and see. What about Pisa? Every single person I asked about told me to forget it. It is literally a hole with a crooked tower. You look at it, take your picture and go away. But it's not worth the extra kilometers you would take for that detour. Spot on. Florence, on the other hand, is amazing. This thread is fascinating. I've read through every comment and come to the conclusion that I've been very lucky in my travels. Been to Paris over a dozen times, 70% work, 30% personal, and have never across any of the complaints people have except the rude Parisians. I would never live there because never heard a good story about living in Paris Centreville, but always found it to be an absolutely gorgeous city. Never been scammed. smelled urine everywhere, or seen unmanaged piles of trash. I'm definitely going to be more aware next time I go. Detroit seems to be the butt of most city-based punk lines. But on a recent trip to Michigan I spent a lot of time in Detroit and honestly had an amazing time. Peas. If you've never heard of a Michigan left, you are missing out on the sexiest road-based creation. I must have been very lucky because I found Venice to be clean and smell fine pre-covered too. Walked all over and ate a wonderful meal by the side of the canal. Went to Paris a bunch of times and found it to be charming. Everyone was incredibly nice. We don't even speak French, except hello, goodbye, thanks, and most of our clothes were bought at Enri in California. Actually live in London, and compared to other places we've lived, don't feel like we paid too much for anything. And found it a calming and lovely place to live. I'm probably broken from living in downtown New York City for too long. Nashville. Bachelorette capital and Nashville hot chicken are marketing concoctions. Emerald City. I went to see The Wizard, and it was just some dude behind a curtain. Emo's a lie. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Lubbock. TX was once rated as the most boring city in Texas. That's still overselling it. So every famous city in the world. Got it. Edit, thanks for all the updates on which cities aren't actually overrated. I've been wanting to relocate for a few years now. And you guys just compiled a list of awesome cities. I guess I'm moving to one of these after I do some research.